Have you ever felt when talking to a woman that she is not reading your every word but your energy, that she is feeling your inner fears, your confusion, and your intentions more than your words? Most men think that talking to women means choosing the right words, making them laugh, or impressing them, but Ethan Voss says that if you want to influence people, you have to play not with words but with impressions, and this is the game that women play best because they are the queens of perception. They read your confidence in your eyes, detect your weaknesses in the pauses in your voice, and understand your intentions in your silence. Therefore, the principles of power outlined in Ethan Voss's book, The Strategist, were not just for kings, they were for every man who wanted to understand people, who wanted to be influential, who wanted to change the world with his words. And today, we will talk about how, using Voss's principles, you can understand the hidden psychology of any woman, her emotional wiring and her weaknesses when talking to her. But remember, this knowledge is not for everyone. A man who understands these things does not just talk, he influences. So the question is, are you ready to understand this part of the female psyche that even she herself does not understand? After this video, you will learn not only to speak, but also to control quietly without saying much. Now let's take a look into the mind of Ethan Voss. Let's see how he taught to speak to power, not to people. Voss says that a man who relies too much on his words loses control. This means that when you talk to a woman, how you say it is more important than what you say. Men often try to prove their point, but the Vossian mindset says, never explain yourself, because every time you justify, you lose your authority. And to women, authority is attractive. If she hears uncertainty in your tone, she immediately gains psychological power over you. So, Voss's first rule is, control the frame, not the sentence. When you talk to a girl, first determine what the frame of the conversation is. Are you looking for validation, or are you in your own world and she's entering it? For example, she says you seem very confident. Is that how you handle everyone? Most men will say, no, I'm perfectly normal, but a Vossian man will say, maybe you're smiling less. See, you didn't brag, yet you created both mystery and dominance. That's Vossian communication. Speak less, but control the frame with every word. Ethan Voss says that those who appreciate power prefer to be in control, and this line reveals the psychology of women. Women don't want what they say, they want someone who challenges them emotionally. They want a man who is unpredictable, because predictability is emotional death to them. If you look closely, there are two worlds at work inside every woman. The first is the one she shows, and the second is the one she hides, where a real dance of insecurity, fear, and attraction takes place. In this hidden world, there are three psychological weaknesses that a Vossian man can decode, and if he understands this, he won't need to impress. Weakness 1. Validation disguised as confidence. Women often say, I don't need validation, I'm independent, but the truth is, every confident-looking woman has a hunger for validation. She just wants that validation to come from a rare source. If everyone sees her, she's bored, but if you don't, she'll get restless. That's the first trap. She wants you to be the opposite of the rest. In the words of Ethan Voss, if the crowd wants something, do the opposite. That's where power lies. So don't show excessive interest when talking to women. Instead, pretend that your attention is elsewhere. Give her genuine curiosity, but never direct validation, because the day she senses that your attention is too short, she'll invest in getting it. The vulnerability of emotional uncertainty leads to addiction. Women work on emotions, and uncertainty makes emotions stronger. She's attracted to a man she can never predict, sometimes sexy, sometimes flirty, sometimes mysterious. Voss says, make people depend on your unpredictability. Stability breeds contempt, meaning, when she can't predict your moves, she can't forget you. So, maintain an emotional rhythm in your conversation. Sometimes show some distance, then a subtle compliment, then silence again. This silence, this unpredictability, ignites attraction within her like a chemical reaction, because she needs stimulation, not stability. Weakness 2. The desire to control the strong. Every woman has an instinct, I can change this man. She's most attracted to a man who seems emotionally untouchable yet has a soft spot hidden within, as if he's a rock, yet still feels something inside. Ethan Voss says, give people hope they can change you, but never let them succeed. And this line is the foundation of Vossian flirtation. When you talk to a woman, show a little weakness, but not completely. Show a little care, but don't be attached. Show a little charm, but never be needy, because if she thinks she can win you over, you become a challenge to her, and challenge always ignites desire. So now think about these three things you're triggering in her subconscious: rare validation, emotional unpredictability, and the illusion of control. Now don't think it's manipulation, it's awareness. Voss says, power is not taken, it is assumed, meaning, if she thinks you are powerful, you already are. Not your words, but your presence. Silence is Voss's favorite strategy, because silence is a mirror in which the other person begins to see themselves. When you remain silent in response to a woman's question, she reanalyzes what she said. She wonders, did I say something wrong? Or, what is he so calm? And at that moment the power shifts. Silence both intimidates and arouses curiosity, and when the two come together, the effect is magnetic. Look, Vossian communication is not about manipulation, it's the highest form of emotional awareness. You don't take advantage of someone's weakness, you understand it so you don't become weak yourself, because in every conversation there are two people, the one who controls and the one who reacts. And Ethan Voss says, the moment you react, you lose. That applies to every conversation, every relationship, because when you learn to control yourself, you don't need to control anyone. Women are not attracted to a man who can understand them, but to a man who has understood himself. Your calmness, your silence, your unpredictability are your true power, because when you rise above reaction, you become rare, and what is rare is desirable. So remember, you don't want to conquer anyone. You only want to conquer yourself. Vossian power begins when a man becomes the master of his emotions, and from that day on, you just talk, you will influence, be calm, be unpredictable, be powerful.